Good morning, Chavre. Today is Thursday, the 20th of Iyar. Let's count Sfiras Omer together. As you can see on the page number sign, it's the 35th day. Let's count together. Hayoim, Chamisha, Ushloishim, Yoim, Shehem, Chamisha, Shavuos, Lo'imer. Today is 35 days, which is 5 weeks of the Omer, which means that Shavuos is exactly 2 weeks. Hashem. Okay, we're on page 118 in the Chayenu booklet. We're middle of chapter 49. Actually, we're concluding chapter 49, Perek Memtes in Tanya. And in today's lesson, having arrived through meditation at the willingness and desire to cleave to Hashem alone with complete self-sacrifice, we're talking about the blessings before Shema. One then ought to channel that love into Torah learning, a divine kiss. The Alter Rebbe will soon conclude. Thanks for coming. The Alter Rebbe will soon conclude that meditating on the concepts appearing in the blessings of Shema leads a Jew to the proper realization of the Shema, which is attaining a love of Hashem. Not just a love, but a strong and a passionate love. Hine kasher yasim hamaskil ela hadvarim el umka. When the thinking person, smart person, is going to think about these matters in the depths of his heart and brain, then as surely as water mirrors the image of a face, his soul will spontaneously be kindled with love for Hashem. We'll get to that in a second. So when the love likened to water mirroring the image of a face, just as the water mirrors the image of a face, takes effect in a person so that Hashem's manifest love for the Jewish people arouses you to respond and correspond with love towards Him, then your soul will spontaneously be kindled with love for Hashem. This nadiv laniach lazev kol asher loy mineged v'rak ledavka b'yisparech likol ha'bayri b'dveika chashika b'chulu v'chines nishikin v'yizdabkus rucha b'rucha kiniskalel. Person will be so what's the word? A person will be so overcome with the love that Hashem is showering upon him that he'll respond in kind. And he will push aside all that gets in the way. Nothing will be of a major importance, only to cleave to Hashem and to be absorbed into His light with an attachment and longing and so forth, in a manner of quote-unquote kissing. That's the deepest love, with an attachment of spirit to spirit, as the Alter Rebbe has explained previously. How can and how does the attachment of spirit to spirit take place? Meaning, what measures are to be taken if one seeks to desire to cleave directly to Hashem? What should we do? To this end, it's stated, the Torah teaches you how to connect to Hashem in the deepest, most powerful way. As soon as we say, right after we state in the Shema, we say with all your heart and so on. We say, and these words shall be upon your heart, and you shall speak of them. And as we're soon going to explain, this refers to immersing oneself in the study of Torah and speaking words of Torah. So we say in the Shema that you should teach it to your children, and you should say it on the way, when you lie down, and when you arise. We're talking about the words of Torah, studying Torah. Sheyichud hanashikin ikarehu yichud chachma bin hadas v'chachma bin hadas v'hu inyan haTorah. As explained in Eitz Chaim, the union of kissing, which incorporates the union of attachment of spirit to spirit, is essentially the union of Chabad chachma bin hadas so the union of man's chachma bin hadas with God's, so to speak, that is to concentrate in the Torah, which unites man's knowledge, wisdom, intellect with the intellect of above, which is Hashem's wisdom and intellect, so to speak, which is what? Torah. V'hapeh. And how do we learn? Not just with our minds, but with our mouth. We say the words of the Torah as we're learning. With the mouth as an outlet of the breath and its emergence into a revealed state represents the category of speech engaged in the words of Torah. So by speaking words of Torah, as it is written, and you shall speak of them, the spirit emerges into a revealed state. When we daven, when we learn, we say the words out loud with our mouths. We don't just look at them with our eyes. So the spirit emerges into a revealed state. Thus, the union of spirit with spirit is mainly brought about by one's immersion in Torah study and saying the words. For by the word that proceeds from God's mouth does man live, as Tanya explained recently and extensively, how God speaks and the world comes into being. So the mouth is the outlet of the breath. However, since what is critical is understanding Torah, so yes, saying it is good. Say Rambam, we say Chitas, but we have to also understand it. We have to understand Torah. For through this union of spirit with spirit through understanding Torah, the union of spirit with spirit is affected. And why must one utter the words in order to arrive at this union if understanding Torah is what's most important? You don't fulfill your obligation of learning Torah just by meditating on the words and deliberating on it alone. Just by thinking of the words, that's not enough. You have to say the words. Meaning one's obligation is not fulfilled, even though such deliberation leads to the lofty level of union of his soul with Hashem, with God, in a manner of cleaving of spirit to spirit. We have to express the words. And unless one expresses the words with his lips and his mouth and his breath, in order to draw the infinite light of the Blessed Ein Sof downward, even into the Nefesh HaBahamis, the Nefesh HaChiyunis, the vivifying soul, which dwells in the blood of man. Ke'adamu HaNefesh, because the blood, we need blood in order to stay alive, of course, which in turn is produced by the intake of food from the mineral, vegetable, and animal worlds. So that's to say, what we're trying to say here is that eating and drinking produce the blood in which the vivifying soul is clothed. And godliness is drawn down into all the above-mentioned worlds when one speaks the words of Torah. So yes, meditating and thinking on the words is great, but we have to express them through physical worlds. We have to say them. And one, when you say the words, you elevate them. What do you elevate? The vivifying soul and the mineral, vegetable, and animal worlds, everything that you're eating. So you're thinking, what do you mean? I don't eat minerals. Yeah, you do. Salt. So you have the mineral, salt, and other nutrients. Ziggy can probably fill you in on the minerals, right? The different things, the different elements that are in your food. Every what? Every herb that comes from the ground, right? Okay. Yeah, but herb is more part of the vegetable kingdom. So we're talking about the minerals like rocks. Salt is one good example, but there's probably other electrolytes are probably minerals, right? And then we have vegetables, and then we have animals, birds, fish. So we're actually elevating all them to Hashem together with the entire universe. And we cause them to be absorbed in Hashem's light. So we're elevating them spiritually. And then the light is going to illuminate the world. So we're part of illuminating the world by being a part of, by eating and being a part of the world. And as the pasuk says, and the glory of Hashem shall be revealed, so much so indeed that all flesh shall see. This is the purpose of the whole descent of God into the worlds, as we were talking about the contraction of the light of Hashem in order to create the worlds. That the glory of God be revealed and be manifest in the entire physical world, especially in a revealed manner, if possible, to change the darkness of Klippa into light. Lahapacha chashecha lenahira rimrira lemiska keniskele barichos. To change the darkness of this world into light, to change the bitterness of the world into positive sweetness and goodness and holiness, as we've explained in chapter 36 at great length. Zeu tachlis kavanas ha'adam abedasai, laham shecher in seif baruch ulamata. And this is the essence of the intent of man's service. When we daven, when we say the words of Torah, when we learn, is to draw down the godly light, and it's not physical light, but it's spiritual light of the eternal light of God down here, down to this physical world. Therefore, although man's spiritual service and deep understanding of Torah are able through thought alone to fulfill the objective of this love, to cleave to Hashem in a matter of cleaving of spirit with spirit, the intent of his service should not only be for the sake of his divine soul, it must also be in keeping with Hashem's desire of drawing down God into the material world, into everything, into the trees and the plants and the minerals and the birds and the fish in the sea and the water, everything. And this is accomplished through speaking, dafke, through speaking words of Torah. Now, before commanding us to place these words of the Torah upon your heart, as it says in the Shema, and it continues by saying that you shall speak in them. The Torah says you shall love God before that, but the Torah says, the pasuk says, you shall love Hashem with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. For before godliness is drawn down through Torah, you first have to love Hashem, and you have to wake up this love of Hashem, and only then can that godliness be brought down through Torah mitzvahs. You can't just roll into, wake up and start trying to draw down the light of God. You have to ingratiate yourself, drawing out a love of Hashem. Only then will godliness be drawn down through Torah mitzvahs. And this is what the Alter Rebbe says. It's like when you go to your dad and you ask him for something, you don't just come, you haven't seen him in a few days, a week, and you say, hey, can I get $100? Dad, can I get $100? Ziggy, what would you answer? Hey, come on, give me a hug, say hello, I love you, thank you. You know what I mean? You start off, you sweeten it up a little bit. So the Alter Rebbe says, however, the initiative must come through elevation of Maim Nukvin. What does this mean? Literally, the translation is female waters, which in Kabbalistic terminology signifies the arousal and elevation of the female, meaning the recipient. Surrendering to him, meaning surrendering to Hashem, one's soul and everything one has, as we talked about before. Then we say the Shema, I was teaching a bar mitzvah boy yesterday. You try to teach him, when you say the Shema, you take your hand, you cover your eyes, and you try to get rid of all outside distractions. Teach a kid, that's not so, he wants to go out and play. He doesn't want to sit in bar mitzvah lessons. Forget about all your friends and all your games and all your toys. And just think about loving Hashem, the God that you can't see, touch, feel, hear. And that's what you got to do. So in order for Hashem to be properly drawn down through Torah mitzvahs, it's first necessary that there be an elevation of Maim Nukvin emanating from man's love of Hashem to the degree that he's able to he's ready to give everything up for Hashem. I say you're going to clean out your entire bank account, every single one of your assets, your car, your home, your favorite, your pillow, everything. You're going to be left with zero. This Alter Rebbe concludes the theme beginning in chapter 46 regarding the love likened to water mirroring the image of face. And concerning that, he said that the Shema and its introductory blessings are especially effective in waking that up. That basically Hashem cares about every single creation, and especially a yid that does a mitzvah, he's focused on. So you could say to yourself, Hashem loves me so much, and I don't even know if I'm worthy, but I gotta love him in return. Just like water, when you look into calm water, there's a reflection, especially on a nice day like today. Didn't start like that, but you see what happens. That's life. You see something, you start something, you're not sure how it's going to turn out, and then suddenly the sun comes out and it's beautiful. So the takeaway for today, Chavre, is your purpose is clear. Reveal the infinite God in your mundane life, not just when you come to synagogue and pray and learn, but even when you're going out there in flight school and you're flying in the plane, or you're working in accounting, or you're selling vitamins, or whatever it is that your occupation is, and whatever you're busy with throughout the day, you reveal God there. You work on, and you make that place spiritual as well. So reveal the infinite God in your mundane life and in the material world at large, infused with love and energy. One method is a quote-unquote heavenly kiss, verbal study of Torah with total immersion of your mind to fully comprehend it. When we were kids, they used to push us to learn Mishnah Yisrael Peh. If you know some Torah by heart, then when you're somewhere and you have an extra minute, you could say the words and you can fulfill exactly what we're talking about here. So that's what we should try to do. Do it with your whole heart, with your whole mind, and also verbalize it if you can. All right, Chavre, have a wonderful, amazing, incredible